Today I'm talking to the homie Shake Delusion.
People can find that on 𝚂𝚑𝚊𝚅𝚘𝚗𝚗 on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know what YouTube's policy is as far as like vaping and smoking on camera and whatnot. I know that a bunch of people do it, and I'm not really concerned about like I know they won't take it down. I know that, and I'm not really concerned about like monetizing the podcast at the moment or anything like that. I wish I had a vape to be chiefing on too right now. I actually have a lozenge in. Got these nicotine lozenges because I'm
my boy, don't you worry. I got
quit.
the borderline Zen bitches, the fucking Velo. Got that mango because you can't smoke anything fruity anymore. God damn.
I never was a big fan of the fruity flavors anyway. I was always a cucumber guy when I was puffing on the Juul.
You smoke a literal cucumber? What the fuck? I never considered that flavor.
My homie back in high school had this rancid peanut butter flavored vape juice that he would whip out on the regular. Yeah, no, it was not the move, dude. I do not want a viscous nut based butter in my lungs, you know.
I ain't trying to one up. I worked with a guy at fucking Domino's. Boy was 17. I don't know how he got him. He had strawberry fucking milk Juul pods. And them
was not Juul pods.
Yeah, dude, it was
That's so funny. Like specifically the fact that it's a Juul pod cracks me up because you know that Juul ain't making no strawberry milk.
Oh no, dude, that third party shit back in the day, that's gonna kill kids at 30.
Getting that China special over there. That's funny.
Yeah. The only thing without fentanyl from there.
Well, cool, man. I like this convo that we already had, so I'll probably just kick it off from when we started doing that. Unless there's anything you want to talk about beforehand.
I'm indifferent. Honestly, that'd be a nice little segue into me being from Indiana and blah blah, the Sackler family at Purdue.
Oh yeah?
You know, because that ties into the opioid crisis. They more or less got it proven that oxycodone or whatever their drug was that they were trying to have pushed through was non-addictive. And as shown by the pill mills and whatnot that people have aimed to, you know, have more of this product, that is not so. And I don't know, it's a weird American version of not exactly the opium wars, but it's something where the public hasn't had to deal with this kind of individual test of will through substance. You know, it's weird.
Have you had any opioid issues yourself?
No, and that is dumbass luck because I shattered my wrist at 17 in an ATV accident, and they gave me Vicodin for that. And I took it once, didn't feel anything, took it again and smoked the bowl out my window, only felt the bud.
Really?
So I lucked out because I didn't feel any draw to it whatsoever, and it didn't benefit me, you know?
Not even any like pain relief?
No. I mean, there was maybe slight physical numbing beyond being stoned or whatever, you know, but I was fucking 17 at the time. So, you know, that could have just been another degree of that kind of combo there. You know? But,
I remember when I was that young, weed fucking actually numbed my pain as well, which it does not do anymore at all for me. Weed doesn't really, it affects me completely differently than when I started.
Yeah, a little bit. For me, so I've always leaned into as much as possible in the sense that I saw it as a added percentage of difficulty for like more, you know, just casual XP while existing. You know,
just being high.
Because you have to tolerate more. You know, if you get pulled over, stoned to the gills, you can't exactly just start bugging. You know, it's just you as you are. You know.
Yeah, that's hilarious. You intentionally handicapping yourself to it's like I don't know, I don't really watch anime, but I feel like there's some anime where the dude constantly has like chains on or something so that he has he's at his full power whenever he takes them off or whatever.
Oh yeah, to play ultimate Hoosier Goober over here. Harrison Bergeron, that story by good old Kurt Vonnegut about the man that was obligated to be handicapped because he was capable. Yeah.
I haven't heard of that one. I hear Kurt Vonnegut all the time. I hear like the names of authors, but your boy don't read. Your boy basically lost the ability.
Dude, the patience for it, honestly, though, in this era we're in, because with the convenience of podcasts and whatnot, you can just set this or an audiobook at like 3x speed. No one's going to sit and actually take the time to read anymore. You know what I mean? Just value per minute on investment. Because you could be woodworking while you're listening to this. Oh my God, you could be a trucker on meth right now.
Yo, shout out to all the truckers on meth right now on those fucking red pills. Those like the Excedrin shit that you can get. Yeah, I mean that's why I make my actual stuff. Like the main channel stuff with the CIA and rock stars and whatnot, working on something about Rome right now, just because I prefer to listen, especially with the CIA. Like there was somebody covering the same iceberg that I was when I initially started, but it was like unlistenable. Apologies to the one other dude who's covered the iceberg. And I really wanted to know the information, and the only way that I can get myself to research and actually read is if I know that I'm going to be like letting people just listen to it like I want to be, you know, like I'm doing a public service.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool that you create it in such a way where if you had only heard the audio version, you would have never assumed there was video. But then you've got little gags and shit that continuously kill me. You know what I mean? That's
Thanks,
the only
man.
reason why I jumped at this in the first place, because the content's hilarious. You know what I mean? And man, it's interesting because you're one of those places where, like Keith Moon himself, you just kind of show up to watch him do anything.
Thanks, I appreciate that. That's kind of what I'm going for with the podcast. Yeah, hoping that people just desire more content generally.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, I don't see why not. You entertain me, and goddamn, you got to start with that audience of one. Hopefully you're entertaining you, because man, something about Rome would be interesting. The other day, I just found out about the communal butthole sponges on a stick.
I just recorded that fucking part of the video. They're so crazy. They're called like �13𝚘𝚕𝚔𝚘𝚘 I believe, or something.
Yeah, that shit, dude. Yeah, it's so fucking strange because we think philosophers, wise men on the hill.
Got the props here.
Brilliant. Fuck yeah.
Broke the first one. That's actually the second one I had to get because I broke the fucking first helmet, so I had to order the same thing off Amazon.
Hopefully you broke it funny and on camera.
Unfortunately, no.
Oh,
I broke it aggressively and while shitting, actually. I leaned forward too far.
Why not on camera? Come on.
I should be recording myself shitting in the future. Exactly. Why not monetize that?
Yep. Yeah. Webcams in every room of your house, live streamed to the internet. NSA doing it for you already, but they only got your phone. Yeah.
I've considered doing it just so the CIA doesn't clap me, or I can at least get them on camera. Like just having everything live streamed at all times.
To an external database, or the server of somebody you trust, just backups of all the video. Yeah. And that's the weird thing about putting yourself out in this era, because you do have to think about these extraordinarily, like, borderline schizophrenic security precautions, And,
yeah, I should be doing better about that.
That's okay, because technology is difficult, and weirdly enough, there's no ultimate security, just inconvenience to such a level where someone isn't going to think it's worth their time, And as computers get stronger and stronger, it's just going to be easier to just hardline break encryption and stuff, which is spooky because, Bitcoin and stuff like that might not be an out that people think it is. I don't know if you have any content on the Federal Reserve, but something about the creature from Jekyll Island, or the conspiracies around the Titanic supposedly killing some people that were opposed to the Federal Reserve. Digging into that and poo-pooing, or, just turning up whatever you come up with. That would be trippy, because a lot of your content, it's something where most people don't have the energy after a day at work to sit down and bother digging at all. You know what I mean? Never mind discern what is actually true or worth their attention in that field.
And a lot of people can't, even if they do want to like listen to that kind of stuff. I don't know. A lot of information out there is just boring as fuck. Like it's not easily consumable for the masses. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and documents that are declassified or were classified at one point, things are written in such a way where you're trying to bore the layman. You know what I mean? You're trying to have that one nugget obfuscated by 3 million pieces of shit.
Legalese. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because, that's how have like a media release form, which you saw that I give to all the give, I suppose, to all the podcast guests. And it was like just some template that I downloaded from something, and I was like, this is the most legalese fucking bullshit, but like I don't care. It's just to cover my ass or whatever. I don't want to have to actually write something out myself.
Yeah, understood. And it's the spookiest thing about legalese and things like that is it applies to basically every facet of the layman's life, but basically no one understands it because it's abstract logic games with every fucking word.
Mhm.
You know, it's about not necessarily entrapping, but setting parameters that benefit the writing party. You know, but it's something where, for the most part, people aren't thinking to sit down with a lawyer and have something sketched out unless, you know, they really got to cover their ass, or they think they can like Carlos Mencia something and, you know, rip something and not release, you know. But
Yeah.
shout out for being a wizard and a G-man. Good one. Good man, not government man. Sorry.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that could be easily confused. Yeah. Do you know what kava is, possibly? You ever heard of
What
kava?
is that the shit drug where people huff that? I don't know what kava
That is
is.
jankum, actually. I have a whole video about it if you haven't seen it.
I probably have, but I forgot the name. Yeah. Damn. Okay, go watch that, people. What is kava?
Kava's like well, it doesn't even really matter. I'm just like on this hunt because I every time I do like a social thing, I'll be drinking on it. And I've decided that like every podcast I have, I'm just gonna see if the guest knows kava till I find one that does. It's like a root from Oceania that has, you know what kratom is? I assume you know what kratom is. Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
It's kind of in a similar like tier to that, where it's like a legal substance that like not you have to be in a certain like class of individual to know about, you know what I mean? But it's real nice. It's real analgesic, and kind of it gives you the same social relaxing properties of alcohol without the intoxication for the most part.
That's brilliant. So it's that psychological angle minus the motor skill inhibition. That's fucking cool.
It's really nice. I'd recommend. I'll send you a link or something when we're done talking about it.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Just because, like, at this point in Indiana, my home state, I can't believe that the Delta blah whatever is all legal. You know what I mean? Just because we grew up having to smoke weed out of monster cans in the woods. You know, now you can buy something close enough at a gas station. You know, and the weirdest thing is the fact that there's overlap in tolerance when it comes to the Delta stuff and actual like dabs and whatnot. So if you're just ripping these things all day, every day, you're fine anyway. Then you go to smoke with your buddies and you're Willie Nelson just showing up Snoop Dogg at that point. You know, they're fucking dying. You're just sitting there waiting for the next breath. Yeah.
That's funny. I never thought about it like that. That's interesting that there could be overlap, even though they're technically different substances. Legally speaking, at least. They even have some of those deltas that are like even stronger than proper weed. Like I've heard like Delta 10 and stuff like that is like even stronger than Delta 9 THC, and it's legal.
Yeah. And honestly, things like this are interesting to me because there was a spike of research chemicals and stuff like that when I was in high school, like 2013, 2014. And Purdue University, you know, they had that Sackler family, but also 25I NBOME came out of there. And that was something that was being sold instead of acid. So basically, if you get an acid tab and it's nice and bitter, ain't LSD, spit it out.
If it's bitter, it's a spitter.
Yeah, exactly. That's what she's. But yeah, the 25I is something that you could actually overdose on. And with LSD in humans, that has never occurred. So, yeah, that's super spooky. That's the crazy thing about things being illegal, because everything that isn't talked about by law is in a weird gray area. And everyone's trying to make a buck, you know, including chemists. And people could be dying just because it's easier money and it's a workaround for a current law.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the issue with prohibition for sure. I was recently I'm ADHD, like kind of like always been Oh, you got the plug right there, bro. You make music, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Everyone go check out it's 𝚂𝚑𝚊𝚔𝚚𝚑𝚅 on YouTube, right? And I
Yeah,
assume you got like a Spotify, SoundCloud, and
on
whatnot.
that, on Spotify, Apple, basically everything you could stream on. Deezer.
Hmm.
Whatever the hell that is.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Yeah, I this week's been fucking crazy for me. So I like saw that you sent me, I believe, the link to the channel when I was like in the gym, and I threw on one of the videos like while I was working out, and I was like, goddamn, it's some high energy stuff, at least whatever I was listening to. So
Dude, yeah. Well, and growing up, playing drums, it absolutely flavors how you approach music. Just
mhm.
because if you get good at drums, you didn't grow up playing country. You know what I mean? You could play country and become a nuanced drummer, but if you grow up imitating Joey Jordison from Slipknot or Danny Carey from Tool, it's just a totally different approach, and you're probably going to wind up banging your head sideways. You know,
Mm.
and it's something where, like with Death Grips and whatnot, something Zach Hill said about their stuff is, I want something that makes you want to take a bite out of a bowl in the morning, either kind. You know, and
Uh,
that's what I've always leaned into because I mean, the first show, like concert I ever went to was Motley Crue, Godsmack, and Drowning Pool, and
that
they're all
sounds
kind of
cool.
cringe at this point, but dude, when you're a 14-year-old boy, that's peak. That hits
Mhm.
testosterone just right at that age.
Mhm. Yeah, I used to be in like a sludge metal band when I was awful, terrible sludge metal band when I was in high school, and I was into that kind of music. Yeah, there's something about going through puberty that just makes Slayer type music that
Dude,
much better, you know?
absolutely. And even something as theatrical as like Iron Maiden, like Number of the Beast was the first CD I ever bought. And I grew up playing Pull to that in my parents' basement, with that on the loudspeakers just on a loop. Because
Mm.
I don't know, there's something about, I don't know, eh, like I love produced music, which all of mine is, it's all pretty electronic. But bands have a different kind of chemistry. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
the greatest compliment I ever got was comparison to Keith Moon.
Okay, that was abject whole ass bullshit. But yeah, nah, fuck patting my own ego. I was pointing at more Evan's shit because
The dude's genuine fucking madman.
why would I have even gotten in episode 2? You know what I mean? Why not plug more where you're at? So, yeah, I actually got compared to freaking John Bonham from Led Zeppelin by a dude that actually got to see Bonham live back in the fucking 70s and shit. Like, that, bruh. Because as a drummer, John Bonham is objectively a harder fletch than Keith Moon. Because Keith Moon is like cool in the jackass sense, but like when it comes to drummers, Bonham, son. Getting told they hadn't seen someone play drums with that kind of passion since Bonham. And just a dude fucking drunk to the gills, just dying to tell you it in between sets. I miss the crew lounge.
Like
Mhm.
the greatest compliment I ever got was comparison to Keith Moon because the dude's genuine fucking madman. And when it came to his passion, his offstage antics did mirror on the kit. He played with everything he had, and you'd be shocked when he didn't break something.
Mhm. No, for real. That was definitely a trip to a rabbit hole to go down because the initial idea for was to just produce the rock videos like about rock stars, but then
Yeah,
every single fucking article was like had something to do with Keith Moon, and it would throw me down this rabbit hole. And the Keith Moon video ended up being like longer than any of the ones that included like multiple rock stars, even the one that had like Ozzy Osbourne and Gigi Allen and Iggy Pop and stuff, just because he was just. And I had never heard of the guy before. Like I know the
yeah,
Who, obviously, but I had never heard of like Keith Moon specifically.
dude, yeah. And ain't no sugar tonight in my coffee, dude.
Mhm,
Like I grew up on that shit. Yeah,
mhm,
and hearing those stories honestly is as interesting as the music. And in this era, weirdly enough, stuff like this is more an outlet for artists than the music itself. you know, because I'm stuck only able to expose myself to those that can tolerate a heavier sound, you know.
Mhm.
And in this field, I could talk to somebody, you know, about anything that we have overlapping interest in, you know. I couldn't imagine a character like Keith Moon or Jimi Hendrix on a podcast, you know, because you'll find, you know, weird tape recordings of like Jimi Hendrix and stuff, and their minds are unreal. And it was all in the crucible before the internet, you know. And I feel like that developed a different mind, you know, because you're not nearly as socially influenced as all are by this point, if only because everyone's watching, you know.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess the equivalent back then is like TV interviews and late night shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But those were always so like scripted, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always a 5 minute block, you know what I mean? If you cared to sit there and, you know, talk about some fucked up disease where you were born without a butthole for 20 minutes, you couldn't do that. You couldn't do it. Simply.
I wonder if that's an actual. I'm sure that happens. I feel like people have been born without everything at some point, but then it's like,
Yeah.
where's the shit go? You know,
I'm
where's
over
it
here trying to give you a
reabsorbed like Kim
statistic
Jong
on
Un?
it. Yeah, yeah. North Korea was actually born with one asshole. That was it. Only one. He doesn't use
And
it
he's
though.
leading the country. So you were talking about the Federal Reserve earlier. It reminded me of some other fucking conspiracy thing that I wanted to bring up, but I forgot what it was. I'm a fantastic podcast host over here, clearly.
You're
Dude, it's completely off topic, but you look good with a shaved head, man. I feel like that's pretty rare for me to see personally, because I'm like losing my hair a little bit. So I'm like, you know, I'll be at a point where eventually I'll be slicked, and I'm not looking forward to it. But you're pulling it off, honestly. I like it quite a bit.
I feel like you would, especially because you're over there rocking the blonde Jesus thing, in the sense that you can actually do some facial hair. I'm stuck with like albino fucking Tupac skinhead Johnny Depp. You know, like I can't do like the full like hair flip thing. You know,
Mhm,
it ain't gonna work out the same. But
mhm.
yeah, it's all down luck of the fucking skull shape, my guy. And if you want, I can send you a fucking picture of me when I did have long hair, because I never had a scene phase, but I was mistaken for scene because I had shoulder length hair from probably like 11 to like 15, something like that. Yeah. Basically until I started performing live on drums, because dude, being able to just slick over your head with a towel versus having to wring out your fucking hair, nah.
No, I bet. Yeah, I've had times where I've been tempted to just fucking shave it off just for the sheer convenience of it. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I'll take a shower and I want to record. I gotta wait half an hour for the hair to dry off because I don't own a hair dryer. You know, not one of them. Not one of those fellas that owns an entire hair dryer. So,
Yeah.
you know.
And no matter how in touch you are with your divine feminine, you're still a man that owns a hair dryer.
At the end of the
You
day,
know?
what are you drying? What are you drying, man?
Yeah.
What are you doing
Yeah.
with that thing? It's kind of sus. It's kind of never trust a man with a hair dryer.
You ever set up a situation where you rent a house with a lady only to use their hair dryer? I was actually rendered homeless by an 𝚂𝚑𝚊𝚔𝚘 because one.
That's funny. My uncle, I hope he
Yeah.
doesn't. I'm like new to the podcast thing, so I don't know how much I should be A, admitting to crimes, and B, like talking about people that actually exist.
Yeah, yeah. Legal anonymity and statute of limitations.
Okay. My a person related to me. Oh, I already said the relation. Anyway, this human being, he would like I don't know if he genuinely has a thing for overweight women or if he is just has found that to be his mark, but he's one of those what do you call him? He'll like
Chubby
crash with well, yes, but he'll like crash with women to you know
Yeah.
what I like to for the free housing, you know what I mean? Like he's homeless for the honeys, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh. So, man, that's hilarious. Uh, so has this been a lifelong trend? Did he get kicked out of the house at 13 and just start silver tonguing his way in?
I don't know a lot about that story just because every time I try and like talk to him about it, he'll end up on this like 30-minute long like super stone diatribe about like something completely unrelated. But Yeah, I assume so. I assume so. He was quite the troublemaker in his youth, so I'm sure he was kicked out at least once or twice, and then was like, "Hey, I mean, punani and housing. Goddamn, it's how could you pass up this deal?"
Oh, dude, that's
God, I
fucking
hope he never
hilarious.
actually watches this.
No, it's okay because my brother in Christ, it's okay.
Mm,
I haven't gamed women for housing, but I have made the mistake of investing in women and willingly giving them things just because I grew up kindly. You know what I mean? I was
mhm.
raised well, and I'm gonna leave you in a decent position because why am I gonna leave you sliding downhill? You know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you feel as though you've been used in the past, is what you're getting at?
I would say used, but that would imply they paid enough attention to make utility of my presence.
Mm,
Uh,
mhm.
yeah. So, but physically, yes, absolutely. Human dildo. Latinas, man. Like, I was raped by a lesbian once. You might have to censor two parts of that one.
No, that's so bad. I'm leaving the podcast uncensored in general just
Dude,
because like,
God
you
bless. Shout out
you
Patreon.
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're very familiar with it. You'd have to
Not
be.
the necessary. All right.
Um, yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna deal with, so, like, I've got the whole kinda, like, pay to play podcast thing set up so that I can go full time, with the YouTube stuff, but because I'm not full time with it yet, uh, I have a pretty limited amount of time to actually make the YouTube stuff. So now I have the podcast, which is assisting me in getting full time, but it also takes time out of making the YouTube stuff in the first place. So I'm trying to find a way that I can like actually edit the videos without podcasts are long, so I'd have to like take, an hour or however long stuff ends up being to actually listen back, edit to it and
Yeah.
whatnot. But, I'll figure it out. I have a friend who might just do the editing for me, so.
Hey, that would be the slickest shit because so I attempted. Well, I mean, in theory, I have a podcast still on my
Hmm.
Shake Delusion channel. It was called The Shakedown, and my only
I
podcast.
like that.
So I went to high school with an absolute prodigy drummer. Just he was into Dream Theater, I was into Tool, and me and him tripped balls together consistently, and he was referred to the entire time as Jazz Hands, rather the artist formerly known as Jazz Hands. And dude, having a fucking 3 hour podcast, like it's awesome to have that much content to sit down and listen to after the fact. But like you were talking about with editing and whatnot, like on your videos and stuff, I don't think people really think about all the editing you have to do for an hour-long video. And if you have a 3 hour long podcast and you've got to distort their voice or something, or you have to have continuous edits, or you have things you have to cut out, you wind up listening to that 3 hour podcast at least 3 times in full. And that's just over a spread period of time. You're listening in increments in full, like three
Mhm.
times, just to be able to cut through and get everything in place that you need. And
Mhm.
yeah, having to do the least to this podcast would be most useful for your time. And man, I'm shocked that you're able to crank out as much as you are holding down full time shit because ever having the passion to do things beyond a normal job is fucking painful. It's hard to keep that fire going sometimes. And
Mhm.
if my stuff getting me fired up, like if getting fired up for my art required more than just singing in my car, I don't think that I could do it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's something where if it wasn't just on the way, part of the fall of stepping, like I couldn't do it.
What do you
And
do for work?
at the moment, sorry, I had to fucking think about it. I'm a fucking clerk.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Fucking gas station clerk. I'd say where, but the weirdos of the local city will fucking come out because it's down in Ohio. Yeah, yeah. The people of
Ohio's,
Ohio.
I will say one thing about Ohio, I miss the weather. It's like room temperature there. You know what I mean? Like, that's where they get the room temperature from, in my experience. I'm sure it does get cold and whatnot, but, like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I was there for a couple of years when I was little, and I always remember
yeah,
just being comfortable as fuck outdoors, which has not been the case with the rest of where I've lived at all. So,
dude. Yeah, yeah. I have no idea where you are, but I'm gonna project off fucking Wisconsin. Man, yeah, yeah. There are different types of fucking winter. Like the
Mhm.
Midwest can suck where I'm at, like because I'm around Cincinnati, right? And you know, you can get a foot of snow in the winter, but that's not fucking 48 inches every week for like 3 months. You know,
I
it's
spent
pretty
9
hard.
years in Alaska, so I get that
God
for
damn,
sure. There's a lot of
dude.
fucking snow.
Yeah, yeah. I actually had a cousin born on the same day as me. My birthday is Juneteenth, so not only do I have a shaved head, I'm a Juneteenth skinhead apparently. And
Got a little
so
oxymoron.
yeah, strangeness. Uh, but yeah, I had an aunt that moved up to fucking Alaska in the 90s, I think. And you only ever hear about people moving to Alaska to like avoid getting prosecuted for a crime. You never hear, you know, anything like, I'm going to college in Alaska, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, but she just went up there because I'm pretty sure that's one of the first places where they weren't going to really stomp your shit in for having weed, you know?
Mhm. I believe it was the second state to legalize. I remember it happened when I was 14, when I was
Really?
living there, and I'm 22 now, so
That's fucking
it's
cool, man.
8 years ago.
Yeah, that's slick.
Yeah.
Dude, I was grounded for weed, sleeping on my little brother's bottom bunk when weed was legalized in Colorado.
Mhm. Did
I
you live
remember
in Colorado?
no, sir, fucking
Oh.
rural Indiana. Yeah,
Oh,
so
gotcha,
it didn't
gotcha.
even dick to us. We were in North Korea over here, and America's over there wanking about their smoke. Yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
It's
Yeah, it
just,
didn't matter a lick to me if it was legal up there, because my parents were definitely not the type to, I'm adopted, so, like,
yeah.
I've met my family on my mom's side, my birth family, and they're all hippies and communists and stuff like myself. I'm not a communist anymore, but,
It's a
like,
fake.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, like, the punk phase and the commie phase really had a good time meshing together. But,
It's a vibe
my
in the super hot. Yeah.
the people that ended up adopting me were, like, not at all like that, so you know, I'm a firm believer that most of people's behavior is genetics. Um,
Yeah, sadly.
and so I was just kinda always on this totally different wavelength than they were about stuff, and I do kind of appreciate the fact that they didn't let me just kinda become like a complete stoner bum at
Right.
14 when I started smoking weed, but goddamn was it annoying at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because you're stuck lying to the people that care for you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It,
Yeah.
it leaves you at odds with the home itself, you know? And I was the black sheep for the longest time, more or less until my dad had passed away, just because there wasn't a way for us to human connect because that little shithead keeps smoking fucking weed in my basement. That's dog shit. You know, that kind of vibe. Even though they were great people, you know? Like my dad bought me golf clubs that he knew I was going to grow out of when I was fucking 2, cut them down to my size so I could swing them, and then I grew out of that $300 set anyway, you know. But
That's
still,
adorable.
you know, he still stole my door for fucking smoking weed. Took the door off the hinges. Yeah,
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 my parents, I had long hair in high school, and it was, like, when I was growing it out, so, like, freshman year, and,
yeah.
they, like, caught me smoking weed at some point and they're like, "We're gonna go cut your hair, you fucking hippie, you know, smoking weed, we're gonna cut your hair," and I like they were like, it has to be above the shoulders," because at the time, it was, like, nipple length, like, it was really long, and, I was all pissed off, so I went to the barber, and they were
Yeah.
like, the barber was like, "Do you want us to, like, trim it up, you know, like, put layers in it or whatever?" I'm like, "No, just cut off the minimum amount that you can." So I was just stuck with this, like, shoulder length bob because
Uh-huh.
I'm an idiot and didn't let them, like, make it look like an actual hairstyle. Um, but yeah, parents will do some interesting stuff when they catch their kids smoking on the ganj.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I remember, okay, I had a cousin when we all right, I gotta tell this story a little bit, but so I was in a band called Regiment 115. After this guy was kicked out of the band for smoking weed, we wound up winning like a battle of the bands and getting like a radio interview on a local radio station, 88.9 Class X. But before all that, there was a bro that lived up the street from me. I love the motherfucker to this day. If he's watching this, Jay, I hope you fucking got your boy, and I hope times go well for you. I love you.
Let's go,
But
Jake.
yeah, but dude, bro, didn't want to wait until my parents fell asleep to, go outside like we usually did and smoke down, come back in, and just pontificate till we passed out. because we'd have band practice every Friday night. We'd hang there and good times. But bro would not wait. So he decided to go into the basically the air filtration room of the entire house, which was in the basement. Bro starts smoking a bong in there. Like it's so fun that it's all sound and smell proof. Meanwhile, you can hear a lighter through the vents and will immediately smell it anywhere in the house. So as soon as he starts doing that, I get up off the couch because I know I'm fucked and I'm not going to deal with this sober. I go in there, I take a solid 3 rips until I hear my dad yell at the top of the stairs. He comes down to the little landing. There's a little borderline window in the wall with, just Boyd. And he leans over on that thing. He's like, "So boys, what you smoking?" And we had no excuse, tried to deny it was anything at all. And my dad called my cousin, that was a fucking sheriff at the time, to come talk to us, and just to try to scare the shit out of us because we had the devil's lettuce in God's state of Indiana, Yeah. It didn't necessarily matter how dangerous it was or not. Everything was meth at that point because the internet hadn't really soaked in yet, and anything that was true about the substance, they didn't want to give up just because it might lead to something else, as though I wasn't discerning enough to only fall into weed and psychedelics,
Yeah, I definitely understand the vibe there.
Yeah.
Also, you want to come say hi? My girlfriend just got home. What's up? Naked, yeah. Generally not the best time to say hi when naked. Yeah, that's first of all, that's hilarious that the dude smoked in, he gassed the house basically. He just smoked in the air vent. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I also had a similar situation, not just like you were saying about people just conflating it with meth. All drugs are the same thing type of thing. My parents used to drug test me after they caught me with weed at some point, and those things fucking sucked. Those little piss tests that you can just buy at CVS or whatever, they are not functional. And I used to cheat them all the time by just putting toilet water in them or whatever. But one time I remember that it came back that I had smoked meth. It came back positive for meth. And whenever they would catch me smoking weed or whatever, which happened often, they'd ground me for a month. That was the set thing, was you're grounded for a month, can't do shit for a month because you smoke weed. And when I got this drug test back that said that I smoked meth, they were just yeah, grounded for a month. They just weren't concerned. Dog, I was honestly a bit gypped. I was you should do a bit of parenting here. If you actually think I smoked crystal meth, maybe have a different reaction than if I smoked marijuana, dog.
Oh, yeah, truly.
But they ended up just having my dad take the same test, which also said that he smoked crystal meth. And my mom believed me so little that for a moment she was like, "Is his dad smoking crystal meth?"
In the water. Or in the walls.
The meth smokers will end up in the walls occasionally, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If only to do some tinkering with the wiring. They need that copper.
They need that copper wire. Gotta get that bag.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any experience with meth or meth heads in your past?
Yeah, and funny enough, because of dating apps, and it's something where there was a nice girl. Damn, I don't want to use her name because she seemed like a sweetheart that fell into it, and life just didn't get any better because it's got a fucking black hole effect to it, But this was a girl that was in college, left basically her childhood home. That she was given that by her parents, and they moved somewhere else, and a meth addiction started for her. And I would go over and hang out with her some because I didn't know she had a meth problem. And there was a day where out the blue she just had some on a fucking plate, right? And she's like, "Would it bother you if I did this hot plate in front of you?" And I'm like, "Not necessarily, but don't expect me to breathe at you." Because I am not touching that with a fucking 20-foot pole. That could not be me. I'm already naturally enough, it's fucking could not, would not. And what freaked me out most about it is how little it changed the way she behaved. You know what I mean? It makes me understand the, at least conversation around Adderall and things like that being pretty much the same thing as meth.
You cut out for just a second before, which first time that's happened, which I consider a success. Right after you said that you wouldn't be like touching it, and then you were talking about conflating it with Adderall, which was going to be my next question if you have taken that or had any experience with that. No,
Okay.
never.
No, I've never taken Adderall. I mean, my only drug forays were weed and psychedelics, and I fucked up and got addicted to nicotine around 17 because I thought that I needed something to help keep acid trips on the rails. And I was wrong as fuck about that. I was a dipshit pussy, and I could have totally handled it. And I got a fucking straggler that's a financial suck because of it. You know?
Hey man, that's what nitrous is for. If you can keep a lid on that, that's what I do for acid trips that are any trips that are going off the rails. Because like you could take a benzo. Have you done nitrous before?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. You shouldn't, technically speaking, but at the same time, it's like my favorite drug, like hands down.
I've heard that it's hippie crack. I've heard good things about it, but at the same time, like I know that I'm scared of feelings that you want to go back to. You know what I mean? Psychedelics were only right for me because of how scary they were and anti-addictive in the sense that you know what's coming. You know? Yeah, man.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing with nitrous is like it is a psychedelic, especially if you do it on psychedelics, which is typically nitrous is kind of like peanut butter, I guess. It's not like you can eat it on its own, sure, but like you should probably be combining it with some jelly or some bread at least or something like that, you know? Like it on its own is cool but unremarkable, but it's just such a great little dressing on if you're talking about psychedelics or Molly or weed or alcohol, anything like that. You've done DMT, right?
Yeah, I smoked that for the first time at 17, and weirdly enough, it only happened at that time because a buddy happened to have it while I was on the way to my big titty goth girlfriend's house. Yeah, and that was a mind fuck because I
predate DMT.
Yeah,
always the move.
I didn't even break through that first time. It was weird as fuck because my buddy was talking to me about seeing some monolith like the one from fucking 2001 that he was fucking faced with, and I didn't get to that point. It felt like my consciousness went down to a like tunnel vision kind of thing, then condensed down to not being able to see, and it's like all my perceptive faculties were compressed down to like a marble size sphere in the center of my skull, and then it's like a rubber band effect like on a slingshot, and once it got to like the crown of my skull, it just like snapped back, and all visuals had a like if there was a Google Dream version of a PS1 game. That's the only way I could
Dream emulator.
Yeah, it's pretty much the only way I could describe the way it made everything look. But it also gave the innate hue to everything that a nostalgic memory had, like that sepia tone, weirdish yellow, and that inclined me to microdose DMT in the future. And that was weird too because I would not recommend that to anybody. It honestly feels like a fucking free trip to schizophrenia.
Because microdosing DMT is definitely not the way to consume that substance for sure. It is always a bad time for me if I don't have enough of it, for sure. It's one of those things that it's like you just have to, like, sure, you might be scared of it, but the more you do, probably the better chance of you having a decent time if you can actually get disconnected from the reality. Because if you're just sitting in your house and then suddenly your brain is like just the loopiest that you've ever been in your entire life, but you can still recognize the fact that you're a person sitting in the chair in your house or whatever, it's just awful. It's not a good time. The reason I brought up DMT is because we were talking about nitrous. It's similar in length, where it's a short kind of trip. And I kind of think of it as like, it's kind of like if DMT and Molly kind of got together. Like it's a very like dopaminergic feeling, the whippet, but it also is psychedelic and you can get visuals, especially if you're already like tripping or whatever.
Yeah, DMT's hedonistic cousin. That's interesting.
Yes, exactly. That's a great way of putting it. DMT's hedonistic cousin. Yeah. It's a great way of putting it.
That's weird. Yeah, because I've only heard about that, and I saw a movie with Steve Martin in it. I'm pretty sure that was Novocaine, and bro wound up pulling all his teeth out on some NOS. Yeah, or Novocaine rather. Yeah, I don't know why I think dentists when I think NOS. Was that a thing there? Laughing gas? Okay, I didn't know if that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people because they're always like, "Oh, it's so bad for you," which like it's not the best for you, but as far like it's not better than air. But I'd say that I don't know. They used it at the dentist, my guy. It's kind of the same. Although that's not a very good thing now that I'm considering it because they also use morphine at the doctors, so that doesn't necessarily mean that you should be getting into that on the daily.
At the dentist. They put drills and bones at the dentist. Man, I don't know. I don't trust anything they do. I trust that 1 out of 10 dentist that isn't so medieval.
The 1 out of 10 dentist that does not support Colgate toothpaste.
Yes, exactly.
That's hilarious.
I put fluoride in my drinking water.
What do you think about that? I don't see fluoride as like this like mind control substance like some conspiracy theorists think it is that they're putting in the drinking water, but I have heard that it's not particularly good for you.
Yeah, I don't know. Odds are, if it does do anything, it's something like lead paint being present everywhere, or everything having some lead in it. It's going to knock the IQ points a couple everywhere, but that just means the average is a couple points lower where 100 would have been. But at this point, everyone's got so many chromosomes. I don't think it really makes a difference.
I fully blame the 60s on leaded gasoline. That's my theory on it. And it's terrifying to me to know that a vast majority of the people in power today are baby boomers that grew up literally getting toxic lead exposure like on the daily. You know what I mean?
I have to tell you about this. I'm sorry. So the other day at my fucking clerk job, so I'm working the register, and this lady, so she grew up probably in the 80s, and she tried telling me something about lead paint and like how things were better at that point. And I don't know, she was doing some fucking mental gymnastics, like yearning for the fucking lead, and like tried to paint the whole tinfoil hat angle on it where it's like a skiff. The laser beams and the waves can't get in past the lead. And like, I didn't fucking understand it. I did not and I didn't want to hurt this lady's feelings. She was a regular. I saw her every day, but apparently she's got that little branch of schizophrenic thought in there. And it's like children yearning for the mines with Minecraft. The 80s cocaine heads yearn for the leaded paint.
That's
the forbidden
shit. I'll probably have to wrap up somewhat soon, like maybe in the next 10 minutes or so I can get ready to go to work. But we should do this again because it was a good conversation. I liked it. Yeah, sure.
Right, well,
I'm not sure when I'll have the. Oh, damn, getting comfy over here. I wish I had done that. I'm not sure when, just because shit's been really busy. I don't even know when I'm going to be able to get these episodes like out. Because I have a couple coming up with just like people that I know, and then also like, do you know Eyes Wide Open on YouTube?
Dude, yeah, that's fucking dope. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm filming an episode with him on Monday.
Yeah, I'm part of the Unwashed Mash that's just sitting by loving that. So cool. That's fucking awesome, man.
Hell yeah, man. Cool. Yeah, it'll be interesting to do like an interview like that. I think I'm gonna
love it, truly, because I now that I hear about that, that's fucking dope. You might as well have just said you're interviewing Wendigoon, truly. Because that's just fucking cool. Because when it comes to more against the grain, truth-oriented content, you more or less have to do some social networking and things like that. And it's cool to see people, behind those, information giants like yourself and fucking Eyes Wide Shut, Eyes Wide Open. And man, that's just going to be dope. Do you intend to conspiracy orient the thing to help keep yourselves, lives out of it?
Well, I'm not too. I think he's a little more. He'd be a little more concerned about keeping stuff private. I'm I'm gonna be running the podcast a while, hopefully, and I'm probably gonna
Yeah.
disclose every fucking personal tidbit about myself, including some shit about my uncle that I probably shouldn't bring up, but I have no ability
bro.
to withhold my my tongue. But no, we are gonna try and keep it specific. Our concept for the talk is gonna be focusing on JFK, and the conspiracies around that. I have a collab coming up with YouTuber called Mr. Beat, hopefully happening
I
in
literally just
October.
found out about him yesterday. That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's great. He's a
Yeah.
super cool dude. I've liked talking to him. We were supposed to go meet in Dallas to film it, the JFK video.
Dude,
But our
pretty cool.
scheduling ended up not working out, which fucking
Oh,
sucks. So we're literally gonna have to like drive up there separately just to get one shot, because we really want to get a shot of him like wrapping up the traditional narrative about JFK, and then I come running up literally over the grassy knoll to be like, nah, the CIA did it. You know what I mean?
I love it.
But so yeah, I need more info about the whole JFK situation to prepare for that, because I'm not like Eyes is clearly like a scholar in that domain, you know what I mean? Like you can hear when he talks about covert intelligence that he like really knows his shit and what he's talking about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I am an entertainer first and foremost, you know what I mean?
Understood. And that's the safest angle to take, my guy.
Mhm. I suppose
Hey,
so.
you're just a funny man. You aren't out there trying to, flip every rock. Because I want to know everything like everybody does, but at the same time, like as I've gotten older, I've actually understood the importance of national security, and not in the NSA needs to be reading the fucking label on your underwear kind of shit. Just in the sense that like during World War II, maybe you shouldn't be telling your first generation Japanese cousin about the nuclear bomb you're working on. You know,
Is that an actual example of something that happened, or is that just something off the dome?
No, it's just something out of
Oh.
my ass. Just because, yeah. But that wouldn't surprise me though. But at the same time, I'd say that the Japanese internment camps were less just than, let's say, the Uyghur camps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know too much about that whole situation going on right now with the Uyghurs in China. I had some entry
I saw your disclaimer about it, and
Yeah.
man, it freaks me out because for the same reason there, I almost don't want to talk about it, because if I were running the CIA, I could think of things that I would do. You know what I mean? And like you almost don't want to fuck with anything in a certain way, because like I don't know if we blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, you just don't know what people are doing and who's paying who to do what, and it's just creepy all in all.
It is creepy. It is really creepy. It's definitely, since like getting into the research for all this stuff, I've definitely had to kind of desensitize myself to the realization that there are just powerful people out there that are not accountable at all to the public. You know what I
No.
mean? Like
You
our
will never
elected
know their name.
representatives are not truly accountable to us anyway, but at the
Yeah.
very least they are on paper elected representatives. You know what I mean? The people
Yeah.
in the deep state are just
Yeah.
like powerful
Dude.
motherfuckers that have connections, you know?
Dude, and there are horrifying things there because so I feel like the deep state ties into the UFO thing very, very, very much, just because you would have everything compartmentalized with private industry, so it could never be served a Freedom of Information Act request. You know what I mean?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is anything tied to private industry like immune from Freedom of Information stuff?
Well, it's something where it's like trying to use a Walmart coupon at Target. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, I see what you're
It's not
saying.
good
Yeah.
there. It's like, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but fuck off with that piece of paper. Yeah.
That's really
Like,
smart, actually. And that's the kind of
unless
shit that like
government-
is
yeah.
creepy. Because
Yeah.
like that's kind of like we were talking about with legalese and all that. Like it's just a loophole that makes perfect sense, because obviously you can't have freedom of information style access to private corporations. You can't, like, nobody should
Yeah.
have a right to reach out to a corporation and be like, hey, yo, what are your trade secrets and whatnot, as we should with the government. But if the government includes private industry in something that it's running, then suddenly it's immune from the Freedom of Information Act. That's Huh.
dude. And
I never
here's the
considered that.
thing: as a like feeling like a fucking weed smoking, fucking Mountain Dew brewing, 1717, 1776 kind of American. Like
Mhm.
I feel like you couldn't have that FOIA request thing on private industry in the sense that that means the Nazi government can roll through and ask you for any paper at any time that you
Mhm.
happen to have,
Mhm.
So that's that double-edged sword of, do you want to give that government the power to flip everything in every industry at any time and get any record just because they want to?
Mhm. Yeah,
Who
I'm definitely a big libertarian in that way.
Yeah.
I do love America personally, um, because I think that any country where you're allowed to say that you hate it, you should at
Oh,
least love it a little bit. You know what I mean?
okay.
Because if you're not allowed to say that you hate it,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
You
know.
can misgender your child here and not do a stint in jail. That's pretty big at this point.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a real thing because people take for granted the parameters they swim in. The fish doesn't think about the water until they got yanked out of it. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Damn it. Well, this was a good talk. I'm probably gonna have to wrap it up just so I can get going.
Yeah.
Let's do it again though. Let's do it again for sure. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
don't gotta worry about the. I'll have to find time for it. I keep having to remember the fact that I'm fucking busy as shit. I don't even really have time for like going and seeing like my friends half the time. You know what I mean?
You're
Um,
good. Yeah.
but
Thank
this
you.
was a
Thank you
pleasure.
for everything you do. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to plug, or get out there, or anything you want to say to
So,
people?
for anyone on that UFO kick at the moment, in 2018, first of the year, before the Pentagon confirmed them and everything, I released a UFO EP that more or less sounds like Death Grips, but it's a concept album that more or less has man recovering craft in 1947, reverse engineering it, using it in psychological operations to have the public have a distaste for off-planet intelligence, and then it culminates in a false flag where something like SpaceX shot around the moon is detonated by a deep state entity, and real extraterrestrials step in and basically cock slap man. Because what the fuck you doing, kids? And
Sounds
yeah,
like a fucking
all right.
rock opera, dude. That
So
sounds tight.
yeah, it's like that Jesus Christmas special from the '80s, and
And people can
but
find that on �13 on YouTube.
any and all streaming services, and
Mhm.
I'm on Twitter, well, X, I guess, Instagram, and all that at 𝚂𝚑𝚊𝚔𝚎𝚘. Yeah, and
Sweet,
thank
dude.
you for your time. Yeah, I
Well, thank
appreciate it.
you, man. Thanks for coming on. I hope to see you again. It was a good
Yeah.
talk.